Mimi Soltysik, the candidate for the Socialist Party USA, was on CNBC for a grand total of 4 minutes to discuss misconceptions about socialism and offered very thoughtful critiques in the limited time he had of the Sanders campaign and of misconceptions of socialism in general. And I want you to imagine what the media would be like if all candidates were given equal time and fair questioning by people whose very agenda did not depend on suppressing the voice of people like Soltysik. Take a look.
The Democratic Party is a capitalist party. There's a lot of problems inherent to running as a so-called socialist on a capitalist party ticket. I think what Bernie Sanders tends to advocate is reforms within the capitalist economy, more of a social democracy, the kinds of things that we might see in Scandinavia. What we're talking about is worker control over the means of production, you know?
No, Mimi, unfortunately I don't know because no one in the media has ever had the interest or the incentive in explaining it to them. But, he was given the limited time he has. Basically, what that means is that workers would be democratically in charge of controlling the economy and the materials needed to run the economy, and they would receive the totality of the profits that they themselves generate, because after all, the workers generate the wealth, and under this current system, the bosses who do not labor alongside the workers are the ones who receive most of the wealth to give to the workers in wages. So it seems to me that anti-statists who want to proudly proclaim that they got what they earned would like workers' control over the means of production if they were ever properly given the time to listen to what that actually means.
Sanders also has quite a record of support for war, and we don't see imperialism as being part of any sort of responsible socialist program.
The media has no interest in propping up any genuine anti-imperialist candidates, so it's really unfortunate when a candidate who voted for the war in Afghanistan, the intervention in Yugoslavia, the intervention in Kosovo, the vote for funding the Iraq War, and the funding of the F-35 fighter jet sponsored by Lockheed Martin, a war profiteer, is presented as the anti-imperialist candidate, when candidates like Jill Stein and Soltysik exist.
Frame a question to you this way, which is, there's been a battle of ideas, right? And let's go back to the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. When you ask, what's the best way to divide a nation's resources to do the best for the most people? Is it a government control or is it the markets?
Yes, well, the hippie in a t-shirt on national television, please tell us why he's not an authoritarian dictator. Thanks, we'd really appreciate it. And why are you not supporting the system that's already in place that you feel like is actively oppressing you? We would really like to know why you would like to throw everyone in gulags and brainwash them and submit to an all-powerful authoritarian state. Thanks.
What would you answer?
Well, we're certainly not looking to the market for our answers, What we see as being the solution is community control, worker control at the local level, at the community level. And the way that we operate and the way we approach this, we don't look to a presidential campaign to provide the solutions. We look to the people. The people are going to lead this. And if we're going to see a socialist revolution in the United States, it's not going to happen through a presidential campaign or a candidate. It's going to happen because the people led that revolution.
Mr. Mattson, how do you feel about capitalism? A lot of people think it's immoral. Is it?
No, capitalism is the most moral form of government and economic formats of distribution of income, because capitalism is based on the consumer. The consumer determines who has wealth in capitalism by voting, by spending dollars on products and goods. In socialism, socialism is based on a government official determining who has resources and taking it from the rightful owner and distributing to others who didn't earn it. And that is the basis of not only socialism, but communist.
No, it's the basis of capitalism. If you understood that people who create wealth are not the ones who receive wealth, the owner class are the people who receive wealth, you would realize that you were talking about the system that you so thoroughly praise.
Capitalist asks, how can I benefit and create values for others? A socialist asks the question, how can I confiscate money that's been created by others and distribute it to myself and my power base underneath me?
He could not be describing capitalism anymore if he tried.
So it's really going back 3,000, if not 30,000 years to centralize power and control. And it's the most destructive form of government and economic structure imagined by mankind. Karl Marx did more damage to this world than any other individual that's ever existed.
Mr. Saltizik?
Well, the cool part now is that, aside from that, his definition of socialism is wrong. And I think why we're seeing such support for socialism now is that the kind of message he's sending, people can fact check in real time and find out what's the truth. And that message that he's putting forth, it's been so thoroughly debunked and it's so out of touch that I think this is why you're seeing such support for socialism right now, is people don't have to buy that crap anymore. You know?
I'm sure Mimi just wanted to say, yeah, that's bullshit, moving on, next, he's totally fucking out of his mind, I mean, yeah, moving on.
Saltizik, we have a lot of capitalists who watch this network. I bet you're not surprised. They would point to the Soviet Union failing and saying, see, that's proof that it doesn't work.
When we talk about socialism, we're not talking about Stalin's Soviet Union. We're talking about a lot of things we haven't seen yet, you know. Now, we might see
they didn't get it right, is what you're saying.
It was different from what we're talking about. We might see universal health care and universal education, things that we see as fundamental rights. We would see those in a socialist economy. But what we would also see is grassroots community control, worker control over the means of production. A lot of this is new and things that, like I said, we haven't seen before.
Okay.
So to point to history as saying, well, this didn't work here, this didn't work here. One, the definitions are wrong. And two, you know, we as people are capable of progress.
You know what else we haven't tried yet? A democratically controlled journalist and content producer or managed media complex. Mimi and the Socialist Party USA would support this. He supported the use of this interview for this channel. I've talked to him, and he supports this kind of effort. The Socialist Party USA is definitely for a democratically controlled media complex. And if you're more interested in learning about worker control over the means of production and the Socialist Party USA, check out their platform and check out Mimi Soltizic's presidential platform on that website at socialistpartyusa.net. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeremy Einbinder for Democratize the Media, making a media that works for everyone.